I have 3 kids, a 10-year-old daughter, a 8-year-old son, and an almost 7-year-old daughter. My son is on the autism spectrum, but is very high functioning. Lately, he's been very mean, mostly to his younger sister. It's been going on for a few months, and we've talked about it with his therapist, discussed it alone with him, giving him a lot of one-on-one time. We've tried everything, thinking maybe it's because he's jealous of no longer being the baby. This morning I heard my 7-year-old crying bloody murder, and when I went upstairs to her bedroom, I see my son with scissors and my daughter's costume that we made together as a project was all cut up to pieces. I comforted my daughter, made him apologize, and brought him downstairs. My husband and I asked him why he would do that, and he said it was ugly and I didn't like it. I told him that was the meanest thing he's done and that he's grounded and can't go trick-or-treating. He completely freaked out, had a tantrum, kicked and screamed, and we just put a pillow under his head until he stopped and got our other kids ready for school. While we were getting the girls ready, I guess he called my mother and told her that we weren't letting him go trick-or-treating, and she called me yelling about how could I do that to our child, and he has autism, and he didn't know what he was doing. My husband thinks maybe we also overreacted and we should let him earn the chance to go trick-or-treating, but he completely destroyed his sister's costume, and that's not something we can brush off. Am I the idiot for not budging? Not the idiot. Actions have consequences, and you're teaching him that. This is a pretty mean and serious event. I wouldn't even recommend letting him earn it back. I think that is a slippery slope and many times ends up with the parent letting punishments go due to feeling guilty, not because it is the best path forward for the kid. Also, your mom is out of line calling and yelling at you. You can't have your kid escalate to his grandparents like that. Not the idiot. You are absolutely right. Having autism is no excuse. I work with a lot of kids with various needs, and many of them have autism, typically high functioning. The ones that are allowed to get away with things with only a talking to or an unrelated sanction are ones that repeat their mistakes and start to use their autism as an excuse. The ones held accountable for their actions develop as people and grow into young adults with a better moral compass. Do not go back on your sanction. Not the idiot. He flat out told you the reason he did it. How can grandma try to claim he didn't know what he was doing? So I agree with OP's stance to take away trick-or-treating after this. His intent and malice prove that he knew what he was doing and should have consequences. Also, what he did was borderline serious and dangerous. I'm not trying to be overdramatic, he most certainly needs to learn a lesson. This behavior can escalate quickly and needs to be addressed. Obviously OP is doing just that. So I'm a 21-year-old female. I feel like I should say these things about myself because these are usually what people ask or say when they find out I rarely shave my legs. I'm straight, I'm very feminine, and I just don't like to waste my time or money on shaving my legs. Also, I'm not a hairy person at all. You can barely see my leg hair, arm hair, or even my goddamn eyebrows. The only time I shave is when I'm dating a new guy in my life, and I've been with my current boyfriend for 3 years now. Also, he doesn't give a rat's back if I shave my legs. So I work for a promotion company where I travel and work at events and festivals. But today I had to go into the office to grab some materials, and my boss was there in his office, so I stopped to say hi before I left out. When I ducked in, he awkwardly asked me if we could talk about something. I said sure and came in, and he shut the door. He was so red and stuttering, but finally he told me we needed to speak about hygiene. I was in literal shock. I was so embarrassed and asked him what he meant. My boss then proceeded to tell me that a few people complained I didn't shave my legs, and they said it went against company policy that I wasn't being hygienic. I was even more shocked. I told him I didn't understand what that had to do with me shaving my legs, and he was just absolutely quiet. I asked him if he shaved his legs and he still said nothing. I then stood up and said, if we were gonna keep talking about this, I'd prefer HR to be there, and he just told me that we didn't need to discuss it any further. Later today I just got an email from HR saying that they would like to set up a meeting for next week to talk further about the discussion that happened today. I'm freaking out and it's making me so anxious. Am I the idiot for not shaving my legs for my job? Not the idiot. I hope HR wants to talk with you to let you know that your boss's comments were wrong. There's no need to freak out because you've done nothing wrong. The only thing I would do to prepare for your meeting with HR is to write an account of the meeting with your boss in your own words. If HR starts to agree with your boss, you could rhetorically ask if they're planning on making the men shave as well. It would also do you good to have the name of a good employment law attorney in your area. You're the idiot. Advertising is like acting. You're a brand, and you have to live up to the brand standards. Kids get kicked off Disney all the time for not living up to the Disney image. You can potentially get fired for not living up to the image of your company. In my workplace we all wear pants, but the guys has to shave every single day and get very regular haircuts. We have to shave our legs in certain outfits we wear. It's the way of life. If I didn't want to comply with these standards, I wouldn't have applied for my company. You're the idiot. You're a model. Your work literally relies on appearance. It's what you're paid for. Business casual and business attire are conservative professional attire. Adhere to those standards. You can shave your legs, wear pantyhose, or wear slacks. Men aren't asked to shave their legs because they're required to wear pants in that environment. Men generally have hair grooming standards to adhere to as well. You're conflating your personal views with how you should behave professionally. The office is not the place to push societal norms. I don't live with my boyfriend, but I'm there very often. He lives with his friend and his friend has a girlfriend. I can't stand her so I don't go over when she's there that often. We both like to bake. I don't mind when she uses my stuff, which she totally does, but she has a hissy fit when I use her stuff. I've bought majority of the stuff that's at the apartment. She has never approached me about the issue, but tells me through my boyfriend. My boyfriend knows I hate confrontation and he does as well. So he's been just rebuying what I used, so I didn't know that this was that much of an issue until she had this massive fit over eggs last night. This was the first time that she's ever confronted me about it. I apologized and told her that I even asked her boyfriend if I could use the eggs before. He said I could do. I did. She started saying that I never buy anything for the apartment. So to prove my point that I do, I decided to take home everything that I ever bought. All the cake pans, all the cookie sheets, cooling rack, the cookie cutters, food coloring, piping bags, the hand mixer, the yeast, the rolling pin, the sugars, flours, vanilla, cocoa powder, shortening, molasses, etc. I left the stuff that the guys uses since it's not between them. I was extremely petty for doing it. But I don't see how she can be so angry about me using things she purchased or her boyfriend purchased when she uses my flour, sugars, butter, etc. There was once a situation where I bought Oreos to make cheesecake for my boyfriend's birthday. She ate the majority of them. I didn't even confront her about it. Instead, I just went out to buy more. No harm done. The pantry and fridge are communal. We are supposed to share everything. Not the idiot. She sounds hella rude. It's kind of you to share all of your supplies. But if you aren't allowed to use her things, why let her use yours? It's your property, and totally not an idiot move to take it home. Now, I can understand not wanting to share ingredients. Especially when you go to make a recipe and you don't have the amount you need. But if she was using your ingredients and her boyfriend allowed you to use stuff it sounds like he bought, what's the problem? All in all, it sounds like there's not very good communication going on in the household. Not the idiot. However, when people say things like I hate confrontation, it generally just translates to I'm not mature enough to deal with confrontation by approaching my problems head on. Had you had a discussion about things instead of just letting them slide, even though they bothered you, piling and piling up in your mind and increasing your anger bottled up inside, then you wouldn't have snapped and done something so incredibly petty. As an outsider, the pettiness is delicious, but I imagine for the people involved it's very annoying, even if, as I said, in my opinion, you are not the idiot per se. Not the idiot, roommate situations always screw. Unless the two people who live there are willing to set some ground rules, you may need to just keep your stuff separate. Yeah, writing your name on stuff and keeping stuff separate screws, but better than fighting. Alternatively, maybe you two should just sit down and come to an agreement. It sounds like either she just does not like you or she is strapped for cash. I know you do not like confrontation, but you gotta get over that. My wife and I have a 1-year-old. She's a stay-at-home mom. She freaking hates it though. She complains almost non-stop. I usually can't even get through the door before she hands me the baby and starts in about it. When I've had a rough day and try to tell her about it, she will cut me off and talk about how I don't know what a hard day is. I know raising a baby is tough, I've tried to make it easier for her. I take over on baby duty when I get home, and on weekends I try to get her to go take time for herself and just get out of the house. None of it helps though. It's been a year of listening to it and trying my best to make things better for her, and it's completely futile. Today she was going off like usual, and I couldn't listen to it anymore. No one is forcing you to stay at home. Why don't you go back to work if you're so miserable? My mom can watch baby. Why are you doing this if you hate it so much? She said, I'm so freaking sorry. I vented a little frustration to my husband. Please forgive me, I'll shut up now. It was hard not doing a huge eye roll and vented a little. She's been mostly giving me the quiet treatment since. It's awful to say, but I'm honestly not minding it that much. My mother has offered to be our babysitter if my wife ever wanted to return to work. My wife is obviously unhappy, nothing I've been able to do has helped that. All she's doing is making us both miserable staying home, but she's trying to make me feel like an idiot for asking her change the situation making her unhappy. No idiots here. I'm not a parent, but it sounds like she didn't get the dream she signed up for. It also sounds like she is just looking to vent, even if from your description she does it a little too much and not necessarily looking for a solution. This is a problem many men have in relationships because it's our nature to fix things and solve problems. I've seen stay-at-home moms go a little nuts in the first few years simply because they don't have anyone to talk to all day. Not the idiot. But it likely came across as something said in anger to shut her up. What about opening the topic again when the two of you are not frustrated and angry and propose that as serious plan? Like, she was venting at the moment, and angry people sometimes just want to validate their anger at the moment. Also, she might have that thing where she would consider herself as failure awful mother if she went to work, so she may refuse because of that or other similar reason. Hopefully, enough talking can solve that one. Not the idiot, assuming you're presenting information as unbiased as possible and you haven't left anything important out. New parents, not just moms, get stressed out and need to vent sometimes, it's totally understandable. But the amount of complaining and venting you're insinuating that she does is concerning, especially considering she's not trapped in the situation. Another factor is that she seems to shut you down whenever you try to vent about your day at work because her problems are more important. The people with me were my mom, my mother-in-law, my best friend, and my fiance's sister. We had plans to go one bridal shop, and if we didn't find anything then to go to a second and then lunch, at which point my fiance would be joining us for more wedding stuff. We get to the first store. I tell them that the only thing I don't want is a ball gown. I tell them my ideal dress is a little more form-fitting, maybe around knee length, and I like fit and flare, where it's tied up top, but the skirt is looser, and ask them to stick to that sort of thing. I think I brought too many people, because it was like trying to herd cats. My mom, mother-in-law and sister-in-law try to get me into whatever ball gowns they can. I humor them and try on a couple, but I don't like any and tell them so, trying to steer them toward something sleeker. My best friend tries to help me out by picking out some dresses decidedly more me and closer to what I had in mind when we started looking. There's a favorite but still not quite what I'm looking for. My mother and mother-in-law tell me that they hate it and suggest yet another ball gown. I say let's keep looking and please no more ball gowns. They pull out another ball gown. Eventually, I ask my friend to help me out. She then suggests they all go to see if they can find bridesmaid or mother of the bride and groom dresses, and while they're trying on dresses I put my clothes back on. I come out and tell them that we'll try the second store, but let's get lunch first. We start to head to the nearest cafe, with them up front talking about dresses and me and my best friend behind. We walk past this clothes shop owned by a local designer, not a bridal shop, and there's this dress in the window. The main color is white, with a little bit of blue and pink on the bottom. My friend sees that it catches my eye and points out that the others are about 30 feet ahead of us, and we probably wouldn't be missed. We duck into the store, I try the dress on, and it's perfect. I get it then and there. We're gone maybe 15 minutes. I get a call from my fiance asking where we are, and we head over. She sees the bag and asks to see inside it. Without thinking I say you can't see it before the wedding. Next thing I know I'm getting wrung out by mom, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law for buying a wedding dress once they were gone. Me and my friend told my fiancée what had happened at the dress shop, and she said to her mother, sister and my mum that it was up to me what I got and when, and said they should have behaved themselves. But the mothers and her sister got really upset and said that they got carried away. But I never gave them a warning or a chance to fix it, and that I shouldn't have slipped away. Was I the idiot? Not the idiot. People see shows like Say Yes to the Dress and assume that's how it's supposed to be. But almost every other episode has a large group with her, they don't listen to her once, and then get annoyed when she's tearing up because she's being disrespected and miserable. And she doesn't get a dress. They usually end up getting a dress completely by themselves at a later date. I just don't understand these people that refuse to listen to the bride when the bride is picking her wedding dress. Not the idiot. They're supposed to be there to help, not choose for you. The dress ultimately is up to you. They wouldn't listen to you, and I think you knew that they would keep pressing until they got you in a ball gown and a resigned yes from you. Screw that. This is your day, and it's your dress. You still took them out with you. I don't know why anyone else would think they have a say when it comes to the final decision. They're guests, and it's an honor to go dress shopping. But they are not entitled to decide for you, and they did not have your preferences in mind at all. Not the idiot. You made clear your preferences multiple times and they ignored you. Then you saw something you liked by happenstance and seized the opportunity to try it on without a circus. If you had spent an hour in there trying on dresses on your own, it would have been different, but you went in, tried on one dress, and bought it. It sounds like you were in and out before they even noticed you were gone, so it's not like you necessarily went out of your way to exclude them.